desenvolvidos, e nós vamos convidar para falar sobre o ecossistema de inovação em Israel, nosso convidado internacional. Ele é CEO da IdealityRoads, organização que ajuda governos e corporações a criar ambientes de alta tecnologia para impulsionar o crescimento econômico. O nosso convidado esteve no centro do desenvolvimento de Israel como uma potência tecnológica. É com muita satisfação que nós trazemos até vocês Oren Gershtein.
I want to inspire you. I want to inspire you to think big. And now, duplicate that in 10 or 100. I want to take you through a journey in the evolution of one of the most sophisticated, innovative, high-tech ecosystem in the world. And for that, you do need, ladies and gentlemen, to think big. IdealityRoads work with government around the world and enable government to build knowledge economy capabilities within the skills and the lesson learned from the Israeli evolution. IdealityRoads doing practically three things: working with government to build a toolbox to utilize knowledge economy, doing the same thing with corporates and enable corporates to be exposed to those technologies that will and could change their future. What's knowledge economy is all about? It's very simple. It's truly very simple. When you are using raw material and energy, you have less of them. When you are using knowledge, you have more of it. So what do we need to do? Find a mechanism to capture the economical value of knowledge. We are exporting cars, we are exporting products, we are exporting food. Did you ever heard about anyone that exporting knowledge? What's knowledge is all about, and how can you capture that into a product and then export that? And what is the true economical value of knowledge? I'll take you through this journey. But in order to give you a perspective of what is this ecosystem look like, there is a comparison to Paranah. Well, the state of Israel is 1/10 of the size of Paranah. Around the same amount of people. In a GDP which is about 3.5 times more than Paranah. So if you will do the multiplies and the difference between the size of the two nations, the two states, can you imagine that Paranah GDP could be $1,000 billion? Just by using knowledge in a different way? Can you imagine that the GDP per capita in Paranah could be 50, 60, 75,000 per person? Not 9,000. This is the journey. This is the evolution of the state of Israel. This is a nation that's doing things in big steps. One big steps. You cannot cross a chasm in 2 steps. Gravity will make it force and you will fall down. It doesn't show that you will succeed to cross the chasm, but you don't have any other choice. Building a knowledge economy capabilities is about doing big steps. So this is where we started. This morning, there was a conversation about the things that motivating us to be innovative, and crisis is one of them. So here is the crisis. Israel used to have two types of industries, not as advanced as Brazil today. Agricultural, that you cannot do without any water and we are a desert, and traditional industry textile that went to the Far East in the 80s, and we are left with nothing. And we needed to reinvent ourselves from the beginning, otherwise we will not survive. This is Israel today. The first in the world in startup per capita, technology companies per capita. First in the world in venture capital investment per capita. Twice as much as the US and about 20 times more than China and Europe altogether. Meaning that the venture capital industry directed its resources to Israel. We didn't have anything at the beginning of the 80s, not at the end of the 80s. Israel is first in the world in the percentage of research and development as part of the GDP. And this is what government is trying to identify, because that symbolizes the strength and the ability of the nation, the economy of the nation, to innovate. Not per capita. Israel is third after the US and China with number of companies listed on the NASDAQ. This is an 8 million people on a territory which is 1/10 of the size of Maringá. This is what this guy had to say about Israel and Israel innovation. Innovation is something which is in the blood and the DNA of Israel society. And that will be probably the last time that I will say it. We didn't have anything at the beginning of the 80s, nor at the end of the 80s. Nothing. So all of the things that you are about to see was created in 2 or 3 decades. Israel is the nation with the highest number of multinational in Israel. So what are they doing in Israel? If we are only 8 million people and the potential market is 0, and the potential market in Israel is 0, what are they doing in Israel? What do they come to look for? They can't sell anything, they cannot sell the products. They are coming because there is opportunities. And opportunities in the forms of startup companies. They are coming to Israel to buy companies. They are coming to Israel to invest in companies and to use those ideas. And they are coming to Israel because they don't have any other choice. Because if they will not be in Israel, they are going to lose something. After Huawei and LG and Samsung came to Israel, Apple must come to Israel because they might lose something and they might not know something that the other competitors knows. And this is turned Israel into a hub. They are bringing money, a lot of money, but this is turned Israel to be a hub of the ability to sell and to export the knowledge all around the world. Twice as much as the US. 20 times more than China and Europe altogether, with venture capital investment per capita. The density of the numbers of companies and innovation in Israel is not comparable to any other place in the world. Israel export knowledge in $23 billion in 2017. This is 1/4 of the entire GDP of the state of Maringá. One segment, one industry. That is the power, that is the essence of utilizing knowledge economy and developing the skills to execute knowledge economy. We are good. What is the form of exporting knowledge? So here's the point. You take in an idea, package the idea in a legal entity, a company, developing the product, and sell it. Take the money, invest it in a startup company, or developing a knowledge, taking the knowledge, and sell it. The expiration date of knowledge becoming shorter and shorter as we speak. How many of you still having those mobiles of Nokia with the buttons? No one. So any technology that we are creating and the time that we are using this technology is getting shorter and shorter. So there is no essence in holding the technology, as opposed to a piece of land. If I used to have 100 acres, those 100 acres could be produce corn from now to the end of days. It doesn't work with technology. It doesn't work with technologies because technology do have an expiration date. So if you want to capture the economical value of knowledge, develop this disruptive knowledge and sell it. And you can see that the numbers are moving from millions to tens of billions to hundreds of millions. This is an accumulated amount of $23 billion in 2017. And they are mega exits. Mega exit is everything above $1 billion. 2017, Intel wrote a check of $15.3 billion in cash. This is 15% of the GDP of Maringá. One deal on a technology that was developing from the Hebrew University. Half of that going to taxes. The nation have more resources for education, health, and helping youth and weak societies, and the rest going to the individual, the entrepreneurs that are becoming more rich and they can reinvest. $15.3 billion, that's quite a lot of money for one idea. And this is not happening as a one-time occasion. This is happening year after year after year. In Israel today, there is a variety of tech companies. There is like 6,000 or 7,000 startup companies in a variety of fields. The strength of the economy is not just internet or fintech or cybersecurity, it's very diverse. We will try to focus today on technologies that related to the financial world and to the insurance world, fintech and insurtech. As we speak, there is like 500 companies in the domain of fintech and insurtech in a variety of stages and level of maturity. And it grows very, very fast. If we are looking on the last 5 years, they grow from 150 to about 500. And that's fully aligned with the amount of money that was injected into those companies that grow from 150 to close to $1 billion into those companies in the state of Israel in order to redevelop and reinvent and to sell those companies as a way of new economy. In fintech covering a variety of fields, customer experience, customer engagement, artificial intelligence, machine learning, cyber security that going all across the board. When we are digitalize our processes, we need to be aware that there might be vicious people that will try to use this knowledge for bad purposes. So cybersecurity is an essential element. And insurance products and artificial intelligence that are capable to analyze big data on open source and closed source, structured databases and non-structured databases. All of that enable companies to be more efficient, more competitive, and more productive. We've talked about the MNCs in the world, multinational companies. Now, specifically for the domain of financial services, and insurance services, you can see a list of the biggest MNCs in the world. All of them have a front office or a presence in Israel. And they know that they need to be in Israel because if they will not be in Israel, they are going to lose something. Barclays just lately opened a huge center. And the reason when they have been asked, why do you come to Israel if you want to buy a company, they say, we want to know how the future is going to look like. We know that the banking industry is about to be changed. It's not going to look the same, and we want to know what to expect. We want to know what are the trends. We want to be there before things are happening. And they are happening in the place where there is innovation. And I'm saying that about Israel, but at the same time, I'm encouraging you to think that everything that was developed in Israel could be developed right here. Could be developed right here in Paraná, could be developed right here in Brazil. Neither of those achievements is rocket science. This is just a systematical mechanism of the awareness and the importance of innovation, and to build the mechanism for that to happen systematically. We are located in a territory which unfortunately we cannot trade with our neighbors. They are very rich, we cannot trade with them. Therefore, Israeli entrepreneurs building their companies to be global from day one. This is a mindset for entrepreneurs, to build their company to be global from day one. You have been blessed. You have a potential market of 200 million people. That could be an extra starting point. But the mindset of building companies to be global from day one is something that needs to be changed. Because the byproduct for society, for the benefits of the nation, is an outcome of these type of practices and utilizations of knowledge economy is something that you can develop very easily. Going back, we cannot trade with our neighbors, so we are building companies to be global from day one. It is a survey that was done just a month ago by KPMG, and 80% of the Israeli startup companies are B2B. We don't have any potential market. We cannot create the next Uber because we don't have people to use the Uber. So what are we doing? We are developing companies to be B2B. This is where technology is going to. And this is where the insurance industry and the banking industry should be able to develop and to look for their solutions as the B2B solutions. Due to the fact that we are not playing domestically because the domestic market for us is zero, Israeli entrepreneurs develop skills and capabilities to create competitive capability by using patents, by using trademarks, by using sophisticated legal tools to protect their competition in other territories. And I'm saying that because the awareness to the use of intellectual property in the knowledge economy area in Brazil is very, very low. A lot of conversation with industries and entrepreneurs and researchers in Brazil. The awareness to the importance of intellectual property in order for you as society to capture the economical value of knowledge is very, very low. The $15.3 billion deal that was done by Intel when they are buying an Israeli company for the self-driving cars was able due to the fact that there was a patent that protecting this idea globally. So this is a fundamental mechanism and a basic element that you should be able to develop as part of the skills to build innovation. Israel is first in the world in the percentage of research and development out of the GDP, which is not investment, this is expenditure. This is expending money on Israeli engineers, salaries, raw material, manufacturing, which is element part of the entire industry. First in the world. And that was around $13 billion of expenditures that was dedicated to innovation in a nation which is 1/10 of the size of Maringá. How did we get it? Is it all coming from Israeli public resources? Absolutely not. This index, or Israel leading this index in the last 15 years, it was not a mistake, it was not 1 year, it's 15 years of leading this index. And this is what government all around the world coming to try to identify how did the Israel ecosystem succeed to do it. The most amazing thing is that 86% out of that is private sector. So the private sector expending a lot of money. How can we create this miracle? Because there is no other parallel economy that succeeded to get into those achievements. And most amazing, half of it is not even Israeli money, it's foreign money. So $6 billion is an expenditure to develop innovation coming from foreign investors, multinational companies, foreign venture capitals, and others. And they are all coming because there are opportunities. Universities, which is really important. Universities, above all government subsidies, they are fully subsidized by the government. But above all government subsidies, they are creating an income by commercializing the innovation. I had a lot of talk with universities and researchers in Brazil. The awareness to the ability to capture the economical value of your invention is very low. And this is a simple practice. This is not rocket science. The invention by themselves are by far more complicated. You just need to do a few things different, and you will be capable of capturing the economical value of those inventions for the benefits of the citizens of the states or the federation. And that is a lot of money that could change budget of states and provinces and municipalities. Well, social elements. It was talked about this morning by Ajita about the social elements. So, a few things about cultural and social impact. To be an entrepreneur in Israel is a very respectable status, because there is a lot of success stories and people are following those success stories. And the success stories are not mandatory. I've become very rich, I've done an exit of $500 million. The success stories is telling the stories of the roller coaster, of how is it, or how long did it take me, and what did I need to go in the process of building these startup companies. Education is something that's been taught in high school. There is a program for innovation and entrepreneurship. At the age of 16, they are playing the real game. They're getting into groups, going through courses, having a CEO, CTO, the hierarchy, communications between them and the friends, developing ideas. So they're having the experience. And maybe the most important things for us, Israeli, failing considered to be an asset. We are not incentivizing people to fail in any way, but we are embracing failure. Because a person that failed is a person with more experience. I used to manage an early stage venture capital, taking Cri8. And I used to recruit a lot of CEOs. I would never recruit a CEO that doesn't have a red line in the CV. I failed. Because if you haven't failed, either you have a lot of luck or you don't have any experience. Embracing failure. It was stated this morning and I will say it again. If you want to create a culture of innovation, enable people to fail. Don't judge them. Help them. And actually, if you failed in Israel, and even if you ask for a grant from the government, you will be ranked higher because you're bringing experience due to your lessons. This is the ecosystem. It's a very dynamic environment, and it's changing every 5 years. It's built out of the participation of the traditional industries, government, educations, universities. The most important things when you want to talk about creating innovative culture and to create scale and to create this environment is to be able to create a critical mass in a short period of time. It will not work the same if you try to do it over 10 years. In small incremental steps, it doesn't work. You need to do one big step. You might succeed, you might fail. But without a critical mass of activity, the other industries, which are the satellite industries, which related to manufacturing, designing, patenting, will not be created, and they are mandatory. And the other thing is sustainability. Make sure that even in time of crisis, there will be a landlord, there will be someone that will be responsible to make sure that that is continuing to work. This is the cycle, it's very simple. The state of Israel is raining grants, but not as you imagining grants. It's not a simple grants. Raining grants all year long, build companies, start companies, taking their benefits through exit, taxes, royalties, and as you saw, this is a lot of money. Exporting knowledge in $23 billion for the nation is a very important source, and for the individual and for society. In Israel, we've got the Innovation Authority. They're responsible for everything in the entire life cycle of our technology-oriented companies. From an IP to an IPO, from the moment that our knowledge is being created to the moment that the company has been exited or sold to a third party. They have developed more than 40 type of policies that supporting every stage, idea, patent, MVP, raising the first A round, raising B round, all of that with assistance to the private sector, with the co-investment basis on public-private partnership to increase the participations of the private sector and incentivize the private sector to expend more money. How do they do it? Aligning the risk to the maturity of the company. As much as the company is risky, they will participate, their participation will be the highest. And it doesn't make any sense to take taxpayer money and to play with it like in a casino. Well, it's working like a Swiss clock. This is the secret sauce. This is the formula. And it's very, very simple. For the risky technologies, for the risky companies, for the most young companies, government will participate and support up to 90%. But always with the private sector. Skin on the game, to have someone that knows how to manage those companies. And there is a Chinese wall. Chinese wall between the two. Government managing policies, but not managing equity and not managing companies. And private sector do not managing policies, in managing company and equity. And that's creation of trust between the two partners, between the two parties, enable the result that you have saw. Just one example to take you through one of those 40 policies, one of the most sophisticated, advanced, aggressive policy that incentivize the creation of innovation in total. It's called the Tech Incubator Model. Now, it's a technology incubator policy, doesn't look like anything that you know about technology companies. It's more like an early stage venture capital that the structure has been given by the government. So the government is doing a tender and giving a franchise to private sector to ask for grants, not $10,000, $500,000, $600,000, $750,000 per company. And they're supporting basic science and applicable science. Basic science and applicable science because those are the deep technologies that could make change to the way that industries is been acting. And actually the government identified a market failure. And the market failure is that there are very good ideas which are too risky for the private sector to invest. So government reducing risk. If this is succeed, private sector take the gain. If this is failed, government taking the loss. Does it make sense to play with taxpayer money? Well, we need to see the results. Here's the point. It's even more aggressive. The private sector will need to invest only 15%, only $100,000 out of $600,000. At the same time, the private sector can take half of the equity of this company. So if the company was sold at the end of $100 million, private sector will not have 50%. They will be diluted down the road. They will have 30%. So they have invested $100,000 and they got 30 million. And you saw it's happening like in 100 cases every year. This is what we are living with. It's a very systematic mechanism. No, it's not a $30 million because they need to pay back the 500,000. So it's 29.5. So the private sector invested $100,000 and get $29.5 million out of this investment. This is the mechanism that incentivizes the private sector to expend more and more and more money. Is this rocket science? No, it's not. And those are the results. The light blue is the accumulated amount of money that invested by the government over the last 20 years, around $600 million, $50 million on an average. The dark blue is the accumulated amount of money invested by foreign, not Israeli, foreign investors in those companies only in this policy, not the entire ecosystem, only in this policy. The state of Israel is not a venture capital. They are not. They are responsible for society, for health, for education. But if they would be a venture capital, they would have done better than any of the Silicon Valley venture capital existing today, just by playing a different game. And the success rate is very high. The success rate of this program is very high because management is being done by the private sector and not by the public sector. And policies and strategies being played by the public sector, not by the private sector. Ladies and gentlemen, the creation of an IT ecosystem in order to utilize knowledge economy is not a spontaneous process. This is public sector responsibility. The sustainability of the IT ecosystem is not automatic process. It's the public sector responsibility. There is no evidence, no whatsoever, in any other place in the world, including the Silicon Valley, Boston, Berlin, London, you name it, that any ecosystem was created spontaneously. It doesn't happen. It just doesn't happen. And it's not rocket science, it's very simple. The amount of money that the state of Israel is investing in all of those policies, lucky that you are all sitting, is so low that you will not believe. It's around $300 million a year. This is what it is. It's almost nothing. And this is creating this huge impact. Could that be utilized? Could that be duplicated, done in other places? So here are two case studies, very different, but could give us an essence about the ability to utilize that or to build those capabilities of innovation in other places, either on the national level or on the corporate level when we're talking about insurance and banking. So the first example is New Zealand. Today, as we speak, there are dozens of governments that come into Israel and try to learn and to see what are the secret source of the state of Israel. And every attempt to copy that and to fail. New Zealand is the first government ever succeed to build these last policies that I was just described to you. I'm working with the New Zealand government in the last 5 years, and the idea is that we have aligned the program to the culture and to the restrictions in the territory. Once you're doing that, it's working like a Swiss clock. Considered to be a huge success. 2 days ago, they have run it for a pilot for 3 years. That done a huge impact on the nation, not locally on a small city, on the nation. 2 days ago, they have published a new tender for 8 years with twice as much as the resources. Then the New Zealand government is about to invest, based on this policy, $1 million in every tech companies that will be aligned with the program, because they have understand that that is the future of the New Zealand economy. Utilize knowledge economy. Okay, so that's New Zealand. They are ranked first in the world in the place which is quality of life and in the place which is easy to do business. And they are isolated, and they are small, and they are Western, and they are speaking English. All right. So let's go for the other side of the world. Argentina. that gives us an essence of the complexity, and if the fact that we are located in Latin America, if this is an excuse, yes or no. So about 5 years ago, a visionary group called Grupo Santos Seguros decided that they want to, as part of their social responsibility, to build innovation within the province of Santa Fe in order to support the traditional industries and to make them more competitive. And they built CITES. CITES is the first tech incubator, Israeli style, in Latin America. For the last 5 years, I've been honored to work with this amazing group, and the board of Grupo Santos Seguros have saw something that many haven't seen or dare to dream of what can be done in Argentina. So in a small city in the province of Santa Fe, they have built this center, which nobody knew about that in August 2014. Today, they have built a tech incubator, which is based on the same principle that I just described, dealing with basic science and applicable science, the most complicated, risky technology that you can ever imagine, investing $500,000 in cash in those companies and working with the entrepreneurs to lead their companies to be $100 million companies and a global company from day one. No one speaks the language 5 years ago. Today in Argentina, many of them speak. But it's not just that. 3 years later, after starting to work when government has been changed in Argentina, the federal government adopted this policy as a model for the entire federation and create 3 types of public-private partnerships based on this idea in a total amount of $100 million. That can be done in Latin America. This is just a matter of visionary and commitment. Neither of those things is rocket science. And those capabilities could build within the insurance companies and the banking companies in order to do what? To be more competitive. Because when artificial intelligence, machine learning, NLP, natural language processing, will be starting to be used by foreign that will come to this territory because there is 200 million people, which is a big potential market, they could deal with those challenges a lot easier than they are dealing right now. Because technology can do a lot of the things that we are not capable of doing as people. It's about leadership, nothing else. A dead fish can flow downstream, it's take a live one to go upstream. It's about leadership to be an upstreamer and to be able to understand what are the challenges that we are facing and to go that way. Ajita was saying this morning that he is not sure where the journey that he's going through will lead him, but he's sure that this is not the same place that he's standing right now. This is my statement to you. It's not that a tsunami is about to come in 10 years. The tsunami is already on the way. And the tsunami is the tsunami of technology. Artificial intelligence, machine learning will be able to do things that we are not capable to even dream right now. You need to develop those skills within your organizations. You need to be open, you need to be flexible, you need to be innovative, and you need to embrace failure. Let people fail. Don't encourage people to fail, but don't judge them. Let people fail. This is the best lesson that every society can build as a DNA that's creating innovation. The fundamental element of being innovative is to let people below you fail and don't judge them. Just let it happen, time and time again. And you will see that the result will be changing so fast that you will not believe how fast this is happening. Thank you so much. And if there is any interest in the presentation, you can just use this code and have it. no need for registration. Just spread the news. Innovation is not something which is a privilege for Brazil those days. It's not a privilege. It's something that if you'll not be able to develop, you are going to face huge challenges. And Brazil cannot and should not be compete with North African or Central African countries on the lowest human resources cost. You are by far more educated than any of them. Thank you so much.
Congratulations, Oren. Stay here, please. Quero convidar a Renata Malheiros Henriques, gerente adjunta da Unidade de Cultura Empreendedora do Sebrae Nacional, por favor, vai entregar uma homenagem ao Oren e ela também vai fazer algumas considerações importantes. Me dá o microfone aqui, por favor. Só um pouquinho. Faz favor. A Renata é a nossa convidada, ela é responsável pelos projetos nos 27 escritórios estaduais do Sebrae. E ela tem mais de 10 anos de experiência já em políticas de desenvolvimento para pequenos negócios e empreendedorismo. A Renata vai estabelecer um bate-papo com o Oren e assim a gente está finalizando também o nosso painel.
Muito obrigada, bom dia pessoal, é um prazer estar aqui hoje. Eu represento o Sebrae, o Sebrae, o Serviço de Apoio à Micro e Pequena Empresa no Brasil. Sei que muitos de vocês são de cooperativas, são de instituições de fomento, são empresários, enfim. Conversava com o Oren agora há pouco, antes da palestra, mas se me cair a pequena empresa, né? E o empreendedor e a empreendedora, qual que é a lição que a gente pode levar para essa empresa? E ele me comentou, olha Renata, é a questão da tecnologia e da inovação como o caminho para a pequena empresa superar os problemas que a pequena empresa tem. Então a gente lembra, bom, a pequena empresa tem desafios de toda sorte, desafios de escala, consequentemente de preço, desafios de logística, desafio de comunicação, enfim. E esses desafios, quando você coloca de fato a tecnologia e a inovação como algo real na sua empresa, você consegue superar. Só olhar Uber, só olhar Airbnb e tantas outras plataformas que a gente conhece que já consegue superar isso. E eu acho que o grande recado que a gente pode colocar aqui como instituições de fomento, nós que representamos e que estamos com grupos de empresários e empreendedoras também, é a questão da mudança do modelo mental. Muitas vezes a gente escuta, mas isso ainda não é para mim, eu sou uma pequena empresa, ou eu não tenho dinheiro para ter acesso à tecnologia ou ter acesso à inovação. E a gente sabe que sim, existem muitas plataformas que são acessíveis. E quando você coloca a mudança no modelo mental e a inovação e a tecnologia como algo fundamental para a competitividade daquele negócio, você de fato muda o patamar do seu negócio. Então, por exemplo, um serviço de CRM, ou por exemplo, um sistema de gestão, um sistema de logística, muitas vezes inclusive podem ser integrados. Isso pode ser um diferencial da sua empresa para ter acesso a novos clientes, para conhecer clientes, né? Muitas vezes, por exemplo, inteligência comercial, uma pequena empresa não tem dinheiro para pagar, mas várias plataformas podem ajudar. Então, acho que é um pouquinho disso. Queria agradecer mais uma vez também, thank you very much. E oferecer também a nossa lembrança, né?
Muito obrigado, Renata. Obrigado, Oren. Por favor.